around 17 members in our governing council. And we have also signed the MOU with the FSSAI, and this of services and the resources that are offered by the FICSI is we are responsible for the development of the qualification and the learning materials, and we have created around 49 NSQF, that is National Skill Qualification Packs. We are also responsible for the conducting the TOT and TOA, that is training of trainers and the training of assessors. We also have the training centers, and we are responsible for the affiliation and the accreditations of the training centers. We have the dedicated job portal, and we have recently organized the India's first career fair, and more around 300 plus students have been shortlisted in that. We are also responsible for facilitating the NAPs, and we have the e-learning zone modules where the food industries can come up and they can increase their skills, they can learn something new. And we are also responsible for assessment and the certifications. So this is about the journey and the achievement till now. Number of the candidates trained is 1,90,195. The number of the candidates certified 1,83,636. And number of the trainers certified is 719. Number of assessors certified 902. The total training centers we have is 115, and total number of the institutes is 270. And total number of apprenticeship engaged in the NAPS is 11,100. So we have signed the MOU with the different organizations. FICSI is also engaged in the special MOUs with the following organizations in order to propagate the skilling across the sector in the major way. We have signed the MOU with the FSSAI, Indo-German Chamber of the Commerce, Food Processing Skills Canada, IFPT, CFTRE, GFI, and also we have signed the MOU with the IGNOU, Delhi University, and Tea Research Associations. So we also we upskill the students and the food processing sector with our trainings, with our webinars, job portal, NAPs, and the learning management systems. We have conducted the 11th webinar till now, and today is the 12th webinar that we are organizing in the series of the Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. We also provide the trainings, and our trainings are on the food safety management systems. We provide trainings on the FOSTAX and other courses. And so this was the brief about the FICSI. And now I will straight away introduce to you to our. This is also our February month calendar. We are coming up with the two courses. First is on the 18th of February, that is on the schedule for requirement as per FSSAI, and the second is on the course on the internal auditing. And if you look forward to enroll into these courses, you are most welcome for that. The training calendar and the registration link is available on our website. You can go and you can register yourself, and you can book your seat. And you may also follow us on the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter. So this was the brief about the FICSI. Now I will straight away introduce to our first speaker. The first speaker today we have is Mr. Purushottam Bhatt. He is presently working as the business head for the FMCG division for the DNV for India and the Middle East region. And he come up with the vast experience, around 30 years of experience in the food, pharma, and the chemical industries. He has exposure to the project management, setting up of the state of art, good manufacturing practices, tech transfer, and the quality assurance and the auditing. He has traveled in over 30 countries across the world on the professional work with some of the leading companies in the world. And he has the vast professional and the business management experience in the field of the auditing. So today we have a great speaker today with us. So I'll not take much more time. So I will straight away forward to the our speaker. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today and making the beautiful evening today. And please enlighten us with your wise knowledge. Thank you so much once again for agreeing to be a speaker with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rohit. And it's wonderful being a part of this webinar. And I see that you are doing a wonderful work of upskilling and developing competence within the industry. Thank you so much. So let me present my case. So how much time do I have? 25 minutes, is it?
Yeah, so yes. 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes tops.
Okay, okay. So I have to be a little quick in that case. Please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
It's yes, perfectly visible.
Okay, thank you so much. So once again, within these 20 minutes, I would like to cover the 7 topics in general. I will talk about a DNV organization to which I belong to. And I'm going to talk from the perspective of auditor or auditing organization. Safety audits. I will talk about food safety and its importance first, and then talk about the unified auditing framework, how it has come up, and what is the role of GFSI in bringing this up. I'll talk about the audit process, starting from definition of audit, difference between audit and inspection, types of audits, and PDCA of the audit process. The importance of the food safety audits is something that I'll conclude with when I discussed all these topics. And then to begin with, the technology usage in the food safety audits at this point of time, you know that remote audits have become a norm in the industry today. And what are the challenges that an auditor faces when he is auditing and trying to add value to the organization's process? These are the points I'll cover. And if there's an opportunity to interact with you at the end of the webinar, I'll be very happy. Introduction to DNV. So DNV is a business assurance service providing organization. We operate in 105 countries across the world, and we service our customers in 180 countries. We have 14,000 plus dedicated full-time employees with us and equal number of empaneled employees. And there are over 10,000 plus food and beverage businesses, industries working with us across the world for various services, right from certification to value-added other services. So what DNV does is fundamentally we work on bridging gaps and enabling transitions. You know that in today's world, the most important part that is lacking is the trust between the consumer and the producer of the product. Okay, I'm sure my colleague, Mr. Govindarajan, is going to elaborate on it when he talks from the industry perspective. So what we do is we build trust in the supply chain. Okay, so how do we build the trust is through digitalization, building the transparency across the supply chains, focus on sustainability related products. I'm sure you would have heard about sustainable development goals. You would have heard many times about the words like ESG, environment, social governance requirements, and susceptibility of the supply chain at this point of the time. If the supply chain is robust, the organization will prosper, and if the supply chain collapses, the organization will suffer. So that is where the DNV comes into picture, supporting the organization to build a robust supply chain and sustainable development. So coming to our core topic, the food safety and its importance. So we shall start with the popular definition of food safety. The food safety is known as a concept wherein the food does not cause any harm to an individual when it is prepared and consumed according to the intended.
Sorry to interrupt, just yes. Your voice is wavering a little bit.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I will, try to be
I think if you can move closer to the mic or the microphone source, I think the voice will be much more stable.
Yeah? Let me know if it is clear now.
Yeah, it is clear, Purushottam ji, it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so looking at the definition of food safety is a concept that food does not cause an harm to individual when it is prepared and consumed according to the intended use. Okay, so what is the definition covering? If you can see over here, right from preparation, which is the entire manufacturing cycle, until it is consumed in a systematic manner. What does this word intended use mean? Who are the intended use here means who are the population who are meant to be consuming the food. It could be sick people, it could be a pregnant lady, it could be an infant. How the food is made and how it is consumed, both are important to ensure the food safety compliance. Okay, that is something fundamental which I wanted to discuss with you before I enter into the concept of food safety issues. Now, if you look at the global markets and the consumers, we see every day in the newspaper, print media, as well as the internet, many issues related to food product recalls. The US FDA website or regulator website in the European Union, you will see that many recalls are happening. I'm sure you would have heard about the melamine issue in the baby food or recalls on account of contamination with microorganisms like E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria, and maybe labeling related issues, GMP related issues, etc., etc. So if you look at the major reasons for the food call, there are many. I could think of some 5 major reasons, starting with cross-contamination. You would have heard about cross-contamination for sure. Cross-contamination is nothing but probably storage conditions not being conducive or multiple products being processed in the same processing area, leading to physical, chemical, and microbiological contamination between different products. So this is perceived as one of the major causes of undeclared allergens in the food products. You have certainly heard about the physical contamination of the food, like glass contamination, metal contamination, rigid plastic contamination, pathogens. Everybody, moment we talk about food safety or contamination, the first thing comes to mind is about the microbiological contamination. I'm sure you would have heard about Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella, some of these pathogens which normally impact the food safety. Then labeling information not in line with the applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. This is again one of the major causes of food safety recalls in the developed world. And the GMP issues, I'm sure you would have heard about GMP, good manufacturing practices. The GMP issues leading to all these concerns which I have highlighted at the top. So what happens when a product is recalled or withdrawn from the market? So it certainly impacts the image of the organization, the brand equity, and increases the costs associated with the recall, probably like withdrawal cost, reprocessing cost, legal claims. Okay, companies may face huge legal claims on account of the impact of food safety concerns on the end consumers. The most important for me here is lack of trust in the minds of consumer. Okay. Immediately, what comes to the mind of consumer is probably the products made by this company are not safe for me and my family. So the consumer loyalty is lost and consequently the market share is lost. Okay. So I'm sure some of you would have certainly heard about an organization called GFSI. GFSI is a Global Food Safety Initiative. So if you look at the background of this global food safety initiative in the 1990s, there was a large number of food recalls happening on account of mad cow disease. I'm sure you would have heard about BSE. They call it as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, dioxin and listeria related issues. Okay, so the countries where the food manufacturers are there, they were producing and exporting to different parts of the world. Say if I am in India, I am a manufacturer of food. I produce and export to say 20 countries across the world. So every country started having their own protocol of inspection. Every company to protect their brand started having their own protocol. So a company like me serving to 20 different countries, 20 different customers would end up the day only facing audits. So there were multiple audits, none of them were conclusive, and there is something called as audit fatigue, which means that organizations were fed up of too many audits, not adding any value to their systems. So at that point of time, the Consumer Goods Forum, the CGF, came together. So Consumer Goods Forum is represented by large companies across the world. You can take some of the names like Cargill, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, or Nestle like companies, okay, they all came together. They said, we need to have a uniform, one particular benchmarking body, which will which will approve the standards or benchmark the standards. So the buzzword over here is once certified, recognized everywhere, which means that you as an organization, you want to reach your product to different parts of the world. You can get certified to one of the GFSI benchmark standards, meet the legal requirements of that country, then your product becomes acceptable in any part of the world. Okay, so this started benchmarking of standards, making sure that the standards are reviewed and revised every time, and making sure that your audit fatigue is reduced as an organization, because once certified to a GFSI benchmark standard, your product is accepted everywhere. I have tried to bring in over here some of the benchmarked standards. So on the left side, you see farming level. I mean, the farming level standards include the SQF, Safe Quality Food, Canada GAP, Global GAP. GAP here means Good Agricultural Practice. In the post-farming domain, you see many popular standards. I'm sure you would have heard about some of them: BRCGS, FSSC, GRMS, Primus, IFS, and SQF. Okay, you see SQF at both the places. SQF on the farming level is SQF 1000, and post-farming level is SQF 2000. So these are two different standards applicable to different levels of processing. So there is a complex process of benchmarking that happens, wherein the GFSI committee checks the application of various standard bodies and approves them based on merit. And biggest advantage is your product is accepted worldwide. Cost effectiveness can be brought in throughout the food supply chain. You as an organization will have wonderful trade opportunities because your product is accepted worldwide. One of the most popular standards, I'm sure you would have heard about, FSSC 22000. Just to tell you how stringent is this benchmarking process, in order to be benchmarked by GFSI, alone the ISO 22000 food safety standard is not enough or not adequate. Along with this standard, you see that there is a sector-specific prerequisite program. Prerequisite program is nothing but GMP-related requirements to be complied by the organization, and FSSC 22000 requirements are part 2 requirements to be complied. So in order to get an FSSC certification, organization has to have compliance to 3 requirements. One is ISO 22000, other one is sector-specific PRP, and the third one is the FSSC 22000 requirements. So you see that the FSSC 22000 Part 2 requirement may change every year, so that the standard is kept current, up to date with respect to the changes that are happening in the food processing world, to make sure that you are compliant all the time to the expectation of the food industry worldwide. You can see various PRP standards there, prerequisite program standards. Each standard is different and specific. There is a standard for feed and other pet products. There is a standard for manufacturing. There is a product for transportation and storage, as you can see from this slide. So the benchmarking ensures that the standard is robust as well as it meets the expectations of current day world. Okay, then coming to the process, the audit process, the core of today's discussion. Let us start with what is an audit. Audit is a systematic, independent, and documented process of obtaining evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. This is the definition. So to make it simple and understandable for you, I will tell you what is the difference between audit and inspection. In an audit, what happens? You will go to the audit site, gather evidences, and further evaluate these evidences to draw conclusions. But in an inspection, what happens? You go to the audit site, find an evidence of compliance or non-compliance, and take a decision directly. So what is difference between audit and inspection here is the word evaluation of the evidence. Let me give an example. You are an auditor, you are going to the audit site, you find that inside the process area, there are a couple of people working without any attire, GMP attire or the dress, okay, dress that is to be worn in this area. So if you are an inspector, you will take a decision directly that this is a non-compliance, because in the GMP area, you are supposed to wear a uniform. You are not wearing a uniform, it's a non-compliance. If I'm an inspector, if I'm an auditor, I need to evaluate this further. The evidence is I have seen people are not wearing the uniform. I need to evaluate this further to check why they are not wearing the uniform. Is it an off day? Is it a maintenance day? Is it that at a given particular time in a day, they need not wear uniform when they're entering into the area? I evaluate all these options. And when I conclude, I would have evaluated all these options and concluded with objectivity to say that, yes, this is a non-conformity. That exactly is the difference between an audit and inspection. I'll put a few points here. While the inspection focuses on what of the audit, the audits focus upon why. Inspections focus upon action, while the audits focus upon the processes. Inspections are quantitative in nature, while the audits are qualitative in nature. That's exactly the importance of the audit process. Inspections are very simple, checklist based, tick yes or no, while the audits are more complex because you have to evaluate the evidences. Inspections create actions, while the audits create recommendations. Okay, so these are the key differences between the audits and inspections. Then there are different types of audits. If we have to put them under three heads, there are first party audits, second party audits, and third party audits. First party audits are nothing but your internal audits. Organization auditing its own processes is nothing but an internal audit or first party audit. Organization auditing its customer or organization's customer coming and auditing, like you going and auditing your supplier, is a second party audit. And a third party audit is the types of audit conducted by an independent third party like DNB coming in and auditing you. Okay, we are independent. We do not have any trade relationship with the organization. So we will be able to take objective decisions in the audit scenario. So these are the three different types of audits. So if you look at second party audits, they are becoming very popular today because organizations are not able to ensure that their supply chains are robust, their supply chains are not having any concerns, because a supply chain can make or damage an organization. So supply chain audits are becoming extremely crucial and important nowadays. So this may appear a little bit complex to you. This is nothing but a simple PDCA representation of the audit process. I will not get into explanation of this entire cycle because of paucity of time. So I just wanted to tell you that audit is a very systematic process. It has complete PDCA to be followed. Plan, do, check, and act, so that the process always encourages continual improvement. Okay, now having discussed all these points, I would like to talk about the important. So the food safety audits from an auditor perspective would be, the importance is that they provide a conclusion of entire FSMS. Please remember, it's a system audit. It is not that we are auditing a process, we are auditing a specific area. We are checking whether the system is capable of ensuring continuity and improvement of the system over a period of time. It helps preventing the food safety issues and consequences. Okay, a regular audit makes sure that you have gaps in the system, you identify them, you work upon them and improve upon them so that the consequences can be reduced. Compliance to statutory, regulatory and customer requirements, assist with the brand and company image protection, helps the management of the organization to prioritize issues and investment decisions, aids in transparency, operational efficiency and effectiveness. I'm sure you will agree with this. And second party audits, as I was telling previously, helps to secure the supply chain and consequent risks. Okay, so this is something I feel from the auditing organization's perspective as the importance of the food safety audits. Today, the technology has its intervention everywhere, and we are using technology in the audits also. You know that after the pandemic has struck, many of the audits have become remote audits. So we use many platforms, IT platforms, Teams and Google to conduct audits. Although I wouldn't agree as an auditor that it will give the same feel as a on-site audit. On-site audits are better because auditor has the better freedom to evaluate, find out where we are going, and then effectively verify the evidences. However, this is another way of doing the audits, becoming norm of the day. You would have heard about Google lenses. Somebody wearing Google lenses goes around, and you will be able to get the entire picture of the organization on your screen, and you could make necessary inferences out of this plant rounds. Nowadays, everybody is using the cloud-based data. Central database of the organization can be verified from anywhere. And the technology helps us to simulate the information security audits. There are certain simulations conducted in order to extrapolate the data to find out in this particular situation whether the compliance is there or not. Okay, so we are moving in a big way to